My name is Charles Snyder. The biggest experience would probably be when I'd had to be deployed overseas, like Ramstein Air Force Base. Usually, typically round-the-clock type of operations in support of the Army in Afghanistan, moving their cargo to them and then receiving members when they come back, especially things that have to be sent back to CONUS or the continental United States. I come from a military family. My uncle was a major in the Air Force. My grandfather was in the Navy. My dad was in the Navy. So I was just another one that decided to do their time. I had a couple of chiefs, Chief Master Sergeants, especially Chief Hasty, who groomed me to become eventually a Senior Master Sergeant one day. And then there's an officer I had a lot of respect for, Colonel McFarland, who also groomed me to take over duties later on before I retired.
So the family members that I had in the military was actually my father. He was in the Army, and then he went to the Air Force Reserve for a few years, especially during Desert Storm, and then he retired and got out, and so I went into the Air Force. The memories that I have being in the Air Force were a lot of just basically a few of the bases that I've been to, from New Mexico to Korea to Iraq, Afghanistan, being here in Texas, the people that I've come across working in my career field, and then becoming a drill instructor or a military training instructor for basic military training for the Air Force. Honestly, what made me join the Air Force really was because I didn't want to stay at home, honestly. Probably not the most patriotic thing to think about as joining the Air Force is, but yet as I moved on from my parents' home in California, becoming in the Air Force, joining, I just joined because I just wanted to start and have something stable. What I learned most about being in the Air Force is basically to be a good wingman to others, to have integrity, to treat others kindly, to do the right thing, mentor, help others whenever possible. A good trade that I learned was my job as a supply technician is just basically how to be there for others, because you'll realize there's not a lot of people that do. So just being in the Air Force helped me learn to basically call it the wingman, being a good wingman for others. After being in the Air Force, I wouldn't say there was a changing point in my life. I always knew that I wanted to continue doing something military related. So basically I retired and earned my degree to become an Air Force Junior ROTC instructor. When I retired and got out of the military life and entering the civilian sector, it has impacted me in a way where you start to realize differences in the structure that you had in the military. A lot of people would probably say it was like brainwashing you in the military, but it's not. It's just restructuring your life to live in a way where you kind of become more task-oriented. You start to look at, little details throughout everything you do. Myself, I worked 3 different civilian jobs, and each civilian job was different than the others. You start to see how people treat each other. A person working in high school, getting hired in and trying to learn the job that you've been in there for about a year already, I guess the respect is a little different than having a young airman join your shop and you've already been there for a while. It's just different. So it's impacted myself in a way that I'm just able to pick up on a few different things. I guess was able to go more of a maturity level than not being in the military.
Treating people with respect and also answering questions thoroughly, but in the shortest amount of words. You learn that in the military real quick. Decisions that you make, especially when you become a senior NCO, impact everybody. It can affect their lives, it can affect their careers. And I've had to make those kind of decisions before. Sometimes it feels good about the decision you make, sometimes you feel bad about the decision you made, but it was the necessary decision. But you just have to remember when you make your decisions based on fact and evidence. And you make the best decision possible. And usually the ones that disagree with you are usually sometimes the ones that you had to make like a discipline call on. That's what you'll find out as time goes on if you join the military. Whether you're active duty or reserve, you will be away from your family. And you will miss things like, your wife's birthday, or you'll miss an anniversary. I had to miss my brother's wedding because I had to go to Kadena Air Force Base one time, but it couldn't be helped. And he understood. They give you a lot of support. Because sometimes when you're away from somebody for a while, sometimes when I was in the Navy prior to the Air Force, I had that a lot because I was constantly deployed on aircraft carrier, and I might be gone 6 months, 8 months at a time.
Advice that I could give anybody wanting to join the military, even just the Air Force itself, would just to be very open-minded. Understand that your way of life is going to change. There's going to be a lot more rules, regulations that you're going to have to learn to follow. We do understand that in the military there's two different laws that you have to abide by, which is the civilian law as well as the military law. And so if you're going to want to be a part of the military, you're going to have to understand that there's challenges that come across with being military related, but anybody can actually benefit from the military because you get taken care of. You get benefits, health benefits that there's a lot of people I know growing up, they didn't have those opportunities. So the military was something that they were able to reach out to be able to take care of themselves a lot better, which can be for anybody wanting to join the military, is that you have those benefits health-wise as well as education-wise if you're not in a position to pay for college or take care of yourself health-wise as well. But it's just like any other job. You learn a job, you learn a career, learn a trade, as you would just working in the civilian world right after high school. It's still a job. You put on a uniform just like you would at another job. But basically advice would just be very open-minded when you're choosing a branch of service to join.